Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's Metaworld News. This is a program where we look at important developments in computer interfacing, particularly in relation to virtual reality and surround vision, that sort of stuff. But more importantly, we're also focused on social virtual worlds. These are 3D spaces you will find on the internet and sometimes on the web, even, which allow you to engage with other people in mostly in the form of avatars. Eventually, holograms will be coming your way, no doubt.
Mm.
And basically, collaborate, communicate, and do what you want with other people. Rather similar to games in terms of the technologies between virtual worlds and games are very similar. They've developed hand in hand, so to speak, but you're not playing any kind of predefined space. With social worlds, the metaverse, as we tend to call it, is very much an open world that is in your hands. That in other words, if you put a ball on the ground and kick it, other people will see you kicking the ball. And if you're not careful, you might hit somebody else with the ball, and they don't always like it because it's a collision warning. Yes. Anyway, moving ahead, giving you a bit more of an introduction this week there. This is where we bring you the news from that sort of metaverse of things. You can follow me at Twitter, twitter.com/malburns. Two separate words in real life, but the handle at Twitter is the just MALBYNS, one word. And there's an additional Twitter feed for this show, Metaworld News, more about specific virtual places. And that's twitter.com/guess what? Metaworld News. Again, all one word. Right. So to get down to it, I have a few highlights for the week in terms of news, which I'm actually reading from my own Twitter feed, if you see what I mean, via Flipboard. We'll be showing you the old picture as I go along. And I should say, because I haven't got round to saying it yet, and I better say it before I forget it, these are actually your headlines for the week ending. Yes, you laughing, James. I forgot all about it, didn't I?
Well, I wasn't going to say something. I didn't want to interrupt the flow.
Yeah, I've now lost the time. Sorry, yeah, it's the 20th of January of the wonderfully grand new year, 2019. And without
Mm.
further ado, I will continue. Now, I have just realized that I'm just having a quickie look here. Oh, maybe I'm imagining things completely. I thought for a second my lips were moving. Shock horror, they're not.
Nope.
Many of you who are involved with Open Simulator Virtual Worlds will know that the Vvox voice servers, which handle voice communications, have been sort of down and out a bit for about 2 weeks. Basically, the Vvox company were moving all their free and they were moving to new DNS servers basically, and they were apologetic, but it was taking its time. And I gather some spaces have actually got voice back now, and I imagine we will this time next week. Unfortunately, at the moment, although I've got the famous white dot over me, which you can't see actually, my lips aren't flapping. You know, as you can't tell I'm talking. But you can at least hear me, so you'll just have to forgive my appearance this week. Hopefully, my lips will be fixed by next week. Otherwise, I'll dig up a mask to wear so you can't tell. Or, a sort of built-in megaphone or an Oculus Rift with the
Oh yeah.
yeah, I could put a smell-o-vision thing underneath it, something that covers the lips anyway. But I digress. I need to get on with the news, or I'll run out of screen time. Right, starting approximately a week ago, the Computer Electronics Show 2019 happened in the States somewhere. Not last week, the week before, but we had a lot of news last week. There's still the odd bit coming up as a result of that toward the beginning of the week. And one post at vrscout.com, that's VR, the letters scout as in Boy Scouts, but all one word, vrscout.com. CES 2019, access your entire digital phone in VR with Dell Mobile Connect. Um, you'd have to click through and really read this. I don't know whether it really counts. Um, Well, yeah, it is VR. Basically, if you're in a VR headset and you're holding your controller and you've got this allows you to pop up your real mobile phone and use your real mobile phone within a VR headset, if you see what I mean, as a component object. How this seems to be specific to Dell computers, or rather Dell's mobile things, and I'm not sure it's actually available yet. It was something that Dell's mobile division actually, Dell Mobile Connect, went to Las Vegas or wherever it was, and where CES was held. Okay,
Gotta be Las
moving on.
Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, moving on. Let me get back here. The rest of the stuff on that page is old. Right. I think we covered this before. In fact, both of these posts. One, introspection in the virtual is about virtual artist. That's a post at medium.com. And another one, which doesn't show me the link, I think we covered it last week, though, is doctors are using VR to study 3D models of tumors. And I presume in studying them, they're trying to figure out ways of getting rid of them. Anyway, they're doing it with 3D models. Uh, Making noise in VR. This was at medium.com. And again, I think we mentioned it last week. It's a BBC virtual reality experience that invites you to walk a mile in the virtual reality times of, or the shoes, as they say here, of the suffragette movements from the turn of, well, I'm about to say turn of the century, but it's actually a turn of the century before this one. It's one of those things I still haven't got to grips with. The turn of the 1900s to the 20th, oh, God, 19th to the 20th century. That's it. That's it. Go figure. You know when the suffragettes were. I don't need to tell you. Right, motorvr.com. Ben Lang reporting. Founded by CERN engineers, Creal 3D light field display is the real deal. Um, right. These are the kind of people who built the Large Hadron Collider. So they do build big things, I guess. Um, it's a startup that's created an impressive light field display that's unlike anything in AR or VR headsets on the market today. For one thing, it appears to be stereoscopic and it imitates the way your own eye kind of sees light. And the reviews are pleasantly happy now. I should point out that we've probably got a long way from this being a consumer technology, but the way things go these days, science moves very fast indeed. Maybe in 10 years' time, you'll have this light field display in some kind of invisible um, force field around your head. Who knows what the future holds? Uh, can't predict. We can't predict, can we? Right. Oh, yes. Right. Oh, here we are. Now, another one. Did I do this last week? I don't think I did. A few people retweeted this, actually. Meet Addison, a full time virtual hair giver. Sorry, caregiver. Oh dear. Well, they've probably got a virtual hairdresser for you too, but this is a caregiver. It's a conversational speech interface. It has its own personality. It's got an avatar on screen, and basically, it's designed to integrate with care facilities in the home to give you sort of full-time aid. So it's a mixture of sort of virtual companion and who organises your caregiving stuff. It is an American company. The Electronic Caregiver is the company that's done the system. They're a division of Same Day Security Incorporated, and I guess this would probably be a fairly expensive product initially, especially given it's American and healthcare costs money in America. So we'll see, maybe hear a bit more about that when it happens. Right. Also, CES, VR and AR took small but meaningful steps forward, often to do with latency and stuff like that. This is a post by a caregiver business you'll find at vrscout.com. That's where the article is. The article here is at venturebeat.com, and small but meaningful steps forward. And they're basically looking at the latest innovations in in everything from the headsets to the positional tracking systems and everything else. Bit of an overview article there. Right. Also revealed that things 6 days ago, so we're definitely in the right week now. Oh, I do love this. Alexa, open my box of chocolates. Well, I don't think my Alexa hasn't got any arms on it, so I don't know how that will happen. Um, Tellables unveils its lineup of virtual storytellers at the 2019 Alexa conference. Oh, it's different. This is posted at vrscout.com. And since the introduction of Amazon's Box and Google Home, Tellables, an app developer specializing in voice-driven storytelling, has been delivering easily accessible audio tales through the platforms. And they are expanding their lineup, and they were demonstrating those at the conference. So check out vrscout.com. Road2VR.com, Ben Lamb reporting as ever. Scape, a company called Scape, have raised $8 million for virtual positioning system, which could be a key component for the AR metaverse, AR being augmented reality. Um, Increasingly, these things, especially in the future, will be less easy to tell apart. I mean, what can be useful for AR will almost certainly be useful for VR and vice versa. Um, Anyway, this is a visual positioning system which can provide centimeter accurate location to the data at city scale. So, in the AR context they're mentioning here, you could well basically have visual positioning in an app on your phone or something else, uh, centimeter accurate to anywhere in the city you're in, kind of thing. And therefore there could be like widgets giving you information that well, the density of such information beggars belief, really. But likewise, in a hypothetical future where the AR landscape becomes a mirror world, in other words, a virtual world that mirrors the real world, the same applies there. You'd have an accurate positioning system, and it's just, it'd be rather nice to have a virtual world of some sort, whether it's related to the real world or not, that has some comprehensive notion of positioning other than visually. Right. Um, Realmax Qian is a light, fully wireless AR and VR headset with a 100-degree field of view. This is a post at uploadvr.com. If you're interested, just check it out. I mean, I don't normally get into a big tizzy about new headsets. There are, they're all over the place, really. This basically is a company called Realmax who've taken their ambitions from dream to reality, having evolved its headset from an intriguing prototype at last year's CES to production hardware at this year. Uh, Lightweight, tetherless, and very wide angle video display, which apparently sets it apart from the rest, or most of the rest, if you see what I mean. But they've all got different stuff to make you spend money on them, basically. Yeah, report Facebook's up and coming augmented reality glasses, much less bulky than HoloLens or Magic Leap. Another upload vr.com article, and they're actually quoting information from Business Insider, which is another source entirely. Um, it does say the prototype. This is about a source that is making claims about the prototype. There's no actual photograph or illustration of the so-called prototype. So it's hearsay, really, isn't it? Resembled traditional glasses much more closely than the bulky AR headsets offered by Microsoft or Magic Leap. But of course, as we actually did see last week, there are at least two devices around for AR, at least, that are look like normal glasses now. And that's always been the how should I say, the breaker for me. If I can go into a shop and buy something that's the same as the reading glasses I'm using on my screen at the moment, then I'll be a happy bunny in the same dimension, so to speak.
Was
Right,
there any
VR.
mention of was it going to be Oculus brand or was it something completely different?
Oh, good point. They don't. That basically, oh, here we are. The report notes that hundreds of employees. Oh no, this is an ad. It appears to be from Oculus Research,
Okay.
which
Yep.
in turn is now known as Facebook Reality Labs.
Ah. Okay.
I I believe Facebook are fiddling around with a lot of stuff, and I think that for some reason they're not branding everything VR as Oculus anymore.
Hmm.
It may, they may be just playing it safe so that they can work on technologies that will maybe continue even if the Oculus as a
Yeah.
brand
Okay. Thanks.
dies a death. Who knows? That is interesting. Yeah, glad you asked that. Kind of interesting point. So, yeah, Facebook Reality Labs brackets formerly Oculus Research. So they're a new team focused on delivering AR products. The team is jointly led by Michael Abrash and Andrew Bolsworth. And Abrash is continuing to lead Facebook Reality Labs as chief scientist, etc. And here we go. Just because you wanted it, Facebook told Business Insider the decision was made to move AR hardware development out of research now that they're closer to shipping. So go figure. Closer to shipping or at shipping. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, next article. This is at vrscout.com. Neurosurgery patients take a VR tour of their own brains. Don't you like that idea? Right, you have to check this out at vrscout.com. I've got it hasn't even given me a synopsis in my reader here, but yeah, I mean, if something goes wrong with my brain, hopefully I will go into hospital, put on a helmet, and take a tour of my own brain, and then tell the doctors observing me what's wrong with my brain. In fact, I could probably usefully do that right now, actually, but that's another matter. We'll leave that. We'll leave that um, aside. That's funny. I've got a little thing here saying no internet. This cannot be true. Right. Very odd.
Yeah.
Look, you
You
can
have
see
internet
it.
as far as I can tell.
Yeah, just above where my mouse is on the screen. There's a thing saying no internet, but it's come back on again now. And I go by the Google Home thing here. It's got a slideshow running, and if I had no interview, the picture would be replaced with a thing saying you ain't connected. Reboot your hub or router. Anyway, VR and cars. Are you ready to drive around in virtual reality? Well, I can answer that question personally. No effing way. But then again, I can't drive. So the closest I got was a motorbike. Right, that was a longish while ago. And what's happening in there? Password required. Uh, something's up with the interwebs. Go away, pop up. It's something is trying to get a password out of me. Right, sorry. Okay, go to digitalbodies.net. That's digital, the way you spell digital, and then bodies, the way you spell bodies for the plural, but all one word. So digitalbodies.net. And yeah, they're looking at the things about driving around in virtuality. When I first saw this article, I thought, oh, well, it's another thing about, things to keep the kids happy in the back seat or things that turn the in a driverless car turn the sensors into road signs become asteroids and zebra crossings become planets or well, I don't know to gamify the real world with sensors, but when I actually opened the article, the first thing I saw was a picture of somebody actually wearing what looked like an Oculus headset, but they were also holding a steering wheel and apparently looking out their window, although they wouldn't have seen anything other than the headset, if you see what I mean. And I don't. That doesn't look particularly safe to me. If if it was driverless and they weren't holding a steering wheel, fair
Indeed.
enough. But it's like those old computer art games where you drove through space with a steering wheel. As if anybody would build a real spacecraft that used a steering wheel. It doesn't function in space. You have to have rockets, not wheels. But go figure.
Yep.
Anyway, everything is possible. In fact, everything is actually highly probable
That's
in
right.
some respects as we go for time. Right, upload VR.com 2 days ago. This is rather obvious. Time warp, space warp, reprojection, motion smoothing, explained. And I actually found this rather interesting. because we're always hearing terminologies with headsets and things like that. And I must admit, I wasn't that familiar with. I know the words, but not their context in VR. Time warp, space warp, reprojection, and motion smoothing. Or none of time warp, for example, has nothing to do with time travel. It's it seems to be a way of harnessing latency and doubling up the information so that you aren't aware of the latency, if that makes sense. And reprojection is something to do with buffering, and so it's better. All the terms actually have things to do with the accuracy or the simulated accuracy of what you see in the virtual reality headsets. So you don't get artifacts and things that upset you. And various people have come up with all these techniques called time warp, space warp, reprojection, motion smoothing, and there's a bunch of others, needless to say, to kind of fool your eyes into thinking that things are a lot better than they really are, because the internal technology of some of these headsets is actually pretty crap. But they're using all sorts of sophisticated ways of making you disguising the fact and making you think you're seeing something that's far, far better than what you're really seeing. So, interesting little article there at uploadvr.com. That one 2 days ago, written by David Heaney, if you have a problem finding it. And believe it or not, that's it for that section. So I'm now going to click on another button, and I'm going to move to Metaworld's feed. Here we go. Right. Now, I'm hoping to get these guys on our chat show and we'll review or something. It won't be today. We've got some other guests, but maybe next week. Um, there is a new hypergrid group that is focusing on arts, and their first trip was this past Thursday. The article I've actually got in front of me here, it comes from pop-ups. Please go away. Thank you. Endlessly. Right. Oh, no. Oh, yes, this is right. This is right. Um, Late last year, basically, we saw the end of a very popular group called Hypergrid Safari, which did jumped around all the grids on the hypergrid. Well, not all of them, there's too many, but finding great places to go. It was a regular group, and it was preceded by Pathfinder Leicester's group, the Hypergrid Adventurers. Well, we've now got a replacement for both of those two. That it started last week, and it's actually called. What is it called? I haven't got used to this yet. It's Hyper Jump. Oh God, hang on, I can't find the name of the darn thing. I had it. I had it on the tip of my. Here we go. Here we are. Hypergrid Hoppers. This is what it's called. Right. There's a very colourful illustration on my screen here, so maybe James wants to zoom into the colourful picture. Um, Basically, during the week, they had an art and fashion program, and they met on the Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific um, in right. Well, they went to Santori Biennial in Greece, and Spiral by Secondhand 2G. I wasn't able to go to this. One problem is it does conflict with High Fidelity's weekly town hall. But I should probably toggle between them in future. Right. So basically 1 p.m. on Thursdays at Pacific time. And the home, in other words, the place you meet is on the Metropolis grid at a region or simulator called Future Lab, and all trips will be starting on that region. Um, I'm assuming, because it isn't actually confirmed anywhere here, that the time of 1 p.m. on a Thursday will also be a regular time. I hope they're not going to sort of announce different times and places each week. But the idea is you will start from there and go to different arts and fashion and interesting venues, basically. And of course, the key person behind this is Art Blue, who many of you know is a regular at the thing. But he founded it with Juliet Surreal Dreaming, Arties, Wizard Dolls Chrome, and other grid enthusiasts. So there's quite a few behind there. And the events are also being aired on Hypergrid Radio, which is a new fully licensed radio station, though I don't initially have the stream address for that. So we'll explore a bit more of that in later, I think. Right now, 6 days ago, another post at Hypergrid Business is talking about, and this is Hypergrid Business, all one word.com, by the way, talking about Kitely's new private grids aimed at non-techies. Which is sort of like, it seems to be a sort of cross between the sort of service people like Third Outworlds provide and Kitely with their, hosted mini worlds, so to speak. And yeah, that's about it for this week. Oh yes. Thomas Dolby, the musician, did a couple of events at High Fidelity recently, and well, I suppose this is no surprise to you, but blog.highfidelity.com have reported that he is now, and by the way, he is Professor Thomas Dolby, I'll have you know, he joins the High Fidelity Advisory Board. So he was impressed enough with the response to his gigs. He's now on their advisory board. He presumably a good PR name to have on their board, since is he at Stanford or somewhere he is now as a lecturer. So let me just flip over here, just see I haven't missed anything. Oh yeah, there is a virtual wall called Rec Room VR. It's one of these more, how can I put it, lesser graphically enhanced virtual worlds, but it has surpassed 1 million VR headsets. Now, they don't make headsets. This is very misleading. Basically, it's a social VR platform. And the quote here from digitalbodies.net, which is where the article is, if you thought social VR was languishing in the shadows, take a look at Rec Room VR. Apparently, what they mean is that their app, Rec Room VR, has been installed on over 1 million headsets, because it's an app that you can only install on a headset, if you see what I mean. It's not something that works on your desktop. So that's their little achievement, as it were. And that really is it for those things. While I mention Hypergrid Business, a little plug here. If you go to Hypergrid Business, there are a couple of other posts that I haven't mentioned, one of which is Maria Karloff, our friend and partner on the show, actually, under another pseudonym, has published her first sort of mini novel. And you can actually, I believe there was a special at Amazon, but there's there's a PDF or a non ebook version that she's offering today. You could download for free for a read. It's a very short thing. I'd actually describe it more as a novella than a novel. But congrats to Maria on doing that. As far as I know, it's the first time she's ever done fiction or anything like that. So I haven't, I confess, fully read it. I did read some extracts, and um, I can't say good or bad. It's just perfectly well written. But I was reading out of context, so I have no idea what was going on. Right. So that's a bit. That's it for now. And Screenleap is telling me I'm approaching my daily time limit.
Oh
Yes,
my.
I am. And it will end in 10 minutes. But when it sent the 10-minute warning, I'm not sure. Probably about 5 minutes ago. So I can continue sharing for a shortest of periods of time by the look of it. And I can discard that window too. I don't really think there's actually much more to be covered here. I'm just going to do a quick check at the nah, these are all copies of our own shows. Basically, that's at Google Plus, and yeah, have a quick look. Raspberry Pi programmed for virtual reality. Yes, well, you can run a OpenSim server on Raspberry Pi if you want to, like a media server can. Um, Dreamscape, Steven Spielberg backed VR company. Dreams a big expansion after Strong something. I'm not going to open it up. This is a post at somewhere called thewrap.com. Um, for $20, you can go and hang out in an alien zoo. or on an Indiana Jones adventure.
Hmm.
Interesting. I think this is what you call on location VR. Looks rather nice in the picture, I must say. This is all stuff that I have coming in, but don't actually have tags. So I'm really just glancing here to see if there's anything I can usefully forward to you, so to speak, before the screen share runs out. Virtual reality brings in visible history of the outback Muslims who helped build Australia to life. Oh, that sounds interesting. abc.net.au. So that's ABC. It's actually television in Australia. Um, Caretaker of an old mosque in Broken Hill. It looks like an old mosque too. It hasn't even really got an intact roof. Anyway, this is good. If you I use this for looking at my own subscriptions quickly. It's an app called Flipboard. You can get it on Windows and on iOS and stuff. Although sadly, there's not a Mac version. Although you can use the website, and it allows you to sort of collect your links and tweets in a magazine format. But there's some you can also subscribe to other feeds too, and I have one there for virtuality, which pops up some nice stuff now and again. Anyway, I think James can put the additional screen away now because we're
Yeah,
finished
it
for this.
stopped a few minutes ago. So
Oh, it did anyway.
yep,
Yes.
yep.
Well, just in time I was there, wasn't I?
Hmm.
So, James, any thoughts on that barrage of news? Or
Just the number of at CES, the number of augmented reality glasses is really interesting. There's a lot of people trying to jump into that, and it doesn't seem like a simple technology. I mean, it's there's a lot of things going on. So I counted at least a half dozen different
yeah,
AR glasses that are being touted around. So it's that's an interesting development that I hadn't expected.
I see most of them as being probably usable as VR or AR, depending on what you're viewing. Although arguably, I suspect. I mean, when you think of really rudimentary things, like you could display a web page in text and pictures or something, as a transparent overlay or a window on top of the real world. So I don't know if you're something I always like about VR is recreating, the idea you can build Stonehenge in VR
Hmm.
and visit it there, or alternatively you can go visit in the real world and you would have a barcode or something that you just scanned and it opened up the VR version to link the two together. And when it comes to historical sites and stuff, then the way AR would fit in there is it would simply be a layer where you superimposed information and data on the real world. So you'd still be looking at the real world stones, but you'd have an overlay saying this is made of granite or something like that, augmented information. And I suspect the display requirements for that kind of simple augmented information are probably much less than a moving interactive virtual world, so to speak.
Hmm.
So it's probably something people would think, oh, the idea that you can, it's like when you walk down the high streets and regardless of whether you want it or not, some shops manage to make your iPhone pop up with a thing, saying, you're now passing us, come inside,
Right.
and advertising stuff. And they can, but imagine if you're walking down the road with, ordinary non um, necessary glasses on, just for AR. You'd pop by a shop, and every so often you come to a shop that was sending an AR signal telling you what's on sale in the shop that day, and how it will be to your great benefit to enter the shop and spend an hour in there wasting time, and
Hmm.
that sort of stuff that they like to do. So yeah, I can see these function, and of course you've got to remember AR is already in position with things like smartphones, where you simply hold up your screen to the real world, and you can already get AR information on the screen that you're holding up to so you hold your screen up like you're taking a photo of a shop, and you can get augmented reality information through various apps as you're looking at the shop window, and you do that now simply by holding your phone up as if you're filming a video or taking a selfie or whatever they do. But so to to transpose that from your phone screen into a pair of ordinary looking glasses, I suspect is much less work than manufacturing fully fledged, VR glasses that would compete with, say, the headsets of the moment.
Yep.
Although they can't come soon enough, in my opinion.
Right.
I don't mind walking down the street looking like the X-Man. What's his name? Cyclops, I think it is, the blind one.
Okay.
He opens his eyes and everything blows up in front of him, so
Right, right.
he has to wear a visor. That would do. I can live with something like that, especially if his headphones are connected to it. But no more no helmets. I want a big T-shirt that says "Helmet not necessary." Right. Okay, well, I think we're finished. So we will see you all again with another bulletin this time next week. Meanwhile, we will be coming to you on the hour, which is 20 minutes away, on this channel with In World Review. We're going to be interviewing some people about the forthcoming Avatar Fest at the beginning of March. But meanwhile, that's a wrap for this show this week. We'll be back same time, same place next week, and it's goodbye from him.
And goodbye from him.
And we two is one, as they say. Bye bye.